Let's see what Cole Hastings says. For the most part, I think his views are reasonable, but I mostly don't agree with a lot of his views. So, let's see what he says. Masculinity crisis, a generation of hopeless men. Go.
Is in a crisis. All around the globe, creators in niches like self-improvement, the red pill, or anything else related to...
See, here's the thing, though. There's a reason these videos are so popular. You know?
These categories are talking about the war on masculinity.
Why do you think there is such a crisis of masculinity?
Feminism has creeped into the mainstream like this.
Man spends his day lying in bed surrounded by screens.
You're so stupid!
And I have to admit, I don't necessarily agree with a lot of what they say. But hear me out, because what I'm suggesting isn't to disband masculinity completely. I just think we need to upgrade the way we harness its power. When I was young, I went through a similar crisis.
Does he start every video with like, when I was young, kind of thing?
Many young teenage men are facing these days. I had absolutely no clue what it meant to really be a man. I see heroes and male protagonists in movies like The Dark Knight, Gladiator, and even Taken being portrayed as an unstoppable force of nature, packed with brawn, grit, and muscle. And I'd wonder if that was what I needed to aspire to be. My everyday...
No. Is that really what you took from that? All of these examples, where is it?
Really be a man. I'd see heroes and
this example,
protagonists in movies like The Dark Knight, Gladiator, and
this example,
even Taken.
I never viewed them like, I viewed it as cool that they can fight and stuff, and I thought that was, I wouldn't say that's necessary for me as a man to know how to fight, but they stand for their beliefs. That's all it was. That's all the message is. To be a masculine is to stand by your beliefs, no matter what. Fight the fucking world if you have to. That was really what I thought masculinity was. Like, no, this is how it is, and I don't care who comes at me. I don't care about your opinions. I don't care about what your beliefs are. These are my beliefs, and they will be my beliefs until the day I fucking die. So unless you're about to kill me, get the fuck out of my way. I thought that's what masculinity was, but hey, guess that's toxic.
Being portrayed as an unstoppable force of nature, packed with brawn, grit, and
muscle. No, because the guy he's beating is also a man, so what, is he not a force of nature?
I'd wonder if that was what I needed to aspire to be. My everyday life wasn't filled with much of the same, though. In school, most of the teachers I had growing up were women. And what the man I was closest to, my father, was really good at was encouraging me to play a bunch of sports, like soccer, baseball, and hockey. Those things fueled my competitiveness and made me feel like I was tackling big accomplishments, as I thought a man should be. But when it came to the other, more personal realms of my life, I was left extremely confused. I didn't know how I should treat or talk to women, battle through hardships, and especially manage my emotions. By the end...
Well, that's... You learned that by doing it, right? It's like, it's not like you learned how to be good at hockey by looking at hockey. You go and you do it. No amount of video watching will tell you how to talk to women, right? Like, they can tell you, but it's like, until it's part of you, until it's authentic, no one will actually buy it. Most women can see through it. If it's fake, they'll know. They'll feel it. They'll feel something is off. You have to just go and do it. Like, that's pretty much it. So, like with sports, it's like, you just go and do it and you practice. Also, the reason sports is so important for a guy is because it builds confidence from competence. And a cycle of training and reaching stuff, that all of that builds confidence, which later on, you won't need to go and approach a girl. If you're really good at sports, you're really good looking, you take care of yourself, you have rituals-ish, you know, a woman will approach you at some point.
Into middle school and all throughout high school, I found myself associated with the more popular guys in my grade. A group of rowdy,
'Cause you were doing
partygoers
sports.
who like to funnel several beers at once, be degenerates, and hook up with tons of girls.
Yeah.
And because of everything I had seen portrayed in my life up until that point, along with the fact that I had no real sense of what it meant to be manly, I took part in these behaviors in an effort to feel more like a man. But
Sure.
I have to admit, a lot of the stuff we did back then, I took part in because it actually was just a really fun time. But regardless of this association and the fact that I took part in all these behaviors, I still felt like the least masculine out of all my friends.
Okay. But how much do you want to bet that a lot of your friends felt the same way? No one, like, you know, like, I mean, some do, but like a lot of people look worse at themselves than they do at other people. If you think about someone who, like, if you look at some other person, you're like, oh, this guy's like, he's so lazy, he's so fat, he's so this, so that. Imagine what that person thinks about himself if that's what he thinks about other people. Usually a lot worse.
They would all have such an easy time talking to girls and sleeping with them. They would get into fights at parties when
Because
I
they didn't
to,
care.
and they even did better in school and some sports than me. And nothing made me feel like less of a man than not being able to get hard for almost an entire year with every girl I tried to sleep with.
Yeah, that would make you feel less like a man. Yeah, because that's your, yeah.
In college. All of these traditionally masculine traits I was trying to embody: dominance, aggression, competitiveness, and power.
I don't like how they're portrayed. Because, one second. Solid sneezing. The thing is, like, for example, dominance, aggression, and competitiveness pretty much portray the same thing, though. In order to be competitive, you have to be dominant and aggressive. Usually, right? Not like aggression, first of all, the way it's written, especially with this background, is as in it's like violence. No, aggression is also assertiveness, is also just going at what you believe and going at it hard, right? So I know he's not portraying it, but it kind of feels that way with how it's all portrayed here. Competitiveness, that's aggression. That's also power. They're all kind of like the same, really. If you like, you can divide them, sure, but it's all like one thing. I don't know.
Were only leading me to feel more depressed and less masculine because I could not fully.
But that's again, that's what it's supposed to like. Part of becoming a man, part of masculinity, is actually going through this. You won't not go through this if you want to become a man. You will have to go through these challenges. This is literally like self-discovery bullshit.
Embrace them. And in a world where 3 out of every 4 people that choose to stop living are men, we have to ask this crucial question.
It's a very assertive move, by the way, to just end your life. Now that's takes balls, you know?
What parts of traditional masculinity are making men no longer want to live, that make men feel worse rather than better?
It's not so much about traditional masculinity. It's more about just masculinity, right? Like, that's all it is. It's like we're more straightforward. We go for what we want. We're usually more assertive, and we don't think ahead. Let's just fucking go. We just want to go and do shit.
Parts of traditional masculinity genuinely help men live better lives for themselves and those around them. There isn't going to be a straight answer that will apply to every single man out there, but today I'm going to try and tackle this question as comprehensively as I can. First, we need to identify what masculinity even is in the traditional sense. Masculinity is a set of traits or attributes that are regarded as characteristic of men. But you can see anyone exude masculine characteristics, not just men.
It's just characteristics.
We've already gone over 4 traits commonly associated with masculinity, which are dominance, power, aggression, and competitiveness. But I want to combine and add these to 3 core masculine traits that I want to go over in detail. And those 3 traits are strength, assertiveness, and leadership. So let's start by going over what is touted as the golden trait of masculinity: strength. And I'm not just talking about physical strength. I'm talking about being mentally strong as well. If you're a frequent viewer of my channel, it's likely you've come across these reject modernity, embrace masculinity videos on YouTube. They all follow the same formula.
Oh, yeah.
Start by showing some weak men doing modern things like eating too much junk food, putting on dresses on TikTok, or simping over Twitch streamers, followed by what you should really be, which usually displays men lifting weights, being firefighters, athletes, or competitive fighters. All activities that require some sort of physical prowess. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well, it's really hard. It's really hard to portray mental prowess, right? Mental strength in a short video like that.
Those
But yeah.
are incredibly inspiring. When I put one of these on before my workout, then blast some hard style while pretending.
This and the whole like the anti-simp or whatever. It's like we go gym, like the whole like what's his name? Oh, I have his playlist. Jesus Christ, this fuck. All these like videos, yeah.
From the video, it gives me a huge boost of
100%,
and
yeah.
strength. But as with any masculinity message, I think the whole idea behind being stronger can be misconstrued and also just be toxic.
But it also says there's also this whole thing about stronger body, stronger mind, right? It's like there is something to it, right? Also, exercising, being more fit does make you feel better, and being more happy with yourself, which will then encourage you to be more masculine if you're masculine, right? Because if you're depressed, if you're just out of energy and all that stuff, that is really not gonna make you be more assertive, more leader-like, more strong, right? It's like it's not. It's a very depressive state in the literal sense, right? It's like your mood is down.
See, physical strength is usually determined by a couple key factors: testosterone and muscle. Something positive that I think these videos indirectly underlines is the importance of bringing to awareness the declining testosterone rates in men for the past few decades. Testosterone is something that is closely intertwined with masculinity. It makes men feel more energetic, it makes them want to go after what they want, and it makes them generally happier. There's no doubt that the decline in testosterone rates could be one of the reasons for depression being on the rise in men, as low testosterone and being depressed.
I would say it is a factor. I don't know if it's the main factor. Obviously, I'm not fucking scientist, whatever. This is not my field of expertise, but this is a massive combination of other things. The things that I would say the things that decrease your testosterone throughout time is what's actually causing you depression. The decrease in testosterone is just I would say is an unfortunate side effect.
Are highly correlated. This indirect intention that one should boost their testosterone and have more strength and vigor for life.
The biggest scam on YouTube,
videos, I believe, is a big positive. Good, clean dieting and consistent.
The scam that I'm talking about is the ones who are saying it's like this supplement will increase your testosterone, like bullshit. Okay, like it's diet and it's fucking lifting. Squat, I think squat or deadlift is one of the highest. I think it was squat, highest increasing testosterone exercises, like by far.
Consistent exercise is appearing to become less and less valued,
from what I remember,
in American culture. But let's dive deeper into this whole idea behind being physically strong. A lot of these videos only depict people who are extremely muscular and massive. For a young, impressionable teenager, this is what the ideal man is for them.
Yes, and there's also a problem because this promotes fucking steroid use and SARMs and all that stuff. But this is also what we have been told since the 90s. So everyone who's making these videos has been already brainwashed since basically the 80s, 90s about this. So can't really blame them. Well, I mean, you can, but I agree with the point. This should not be what a masculine man looks like. I would honestly rather see young men who are, I wouldn't say like this big, but they're athletic, or even slightly bigger, but in nice clothing, well shaven or whatever, taking care of themselves, even not even well shaven, just groomed, nice beard, whatever. I would prefer seeing that as somebody who takes care of himself than this. As much as this motivates you to go to the gym, as far as masculinity goes, that's the other one. But this at least motivates to go to the gym, right? So
screw anything else. If they can just be massive and muscular, then people will respect them for how manly they are. But
they will, because they will be too afraid of them to do anything else.
I disagree with the idea that having a more muscular physique makes you more of a man. If you are pursuing a strong aesthetic body because you want to be able to tower over people and dominate them and have people be intimidated by you, you are subconsciously telling yourself that you are afraid to have any vulnerable points. You are only pursuing a better body in a pursuit to cover up your past traumas and insecurities and suppress.
If that is your main goal. The thing is, once you get to bigger, your mentality can also shift, and usually it does. If you come from a place of insecurity, a lot of times it becomes your confidence as well, right? Because if you're a scrawny little man, right, and even though your goal to become muscular and tower over people and all that stuff, even if your goal it comes from a bad mindset, that mindset can easily change once you are feeling better, looking better, and getting more attention, right? So, I mean, yeah, you don't come from the best mindsets, but it does get you through the door, and I think getting through the door is way more important than anything else. That being said, I know a guy who was bullied, became an MMA fucking champion. Was it MMA? No, it was like Muay Thai. He was Muay Thai champion in like Ontario or some shit, and he just became a bully. So again, that doesn't necessarily always mean that it changes, but yeah.
Press them at all
Super
costs,
good friend
because
to
many
his
men
friends.
are taught to do just that. This is why you can be the most physically dominant man in the room, but still be the weakest in every other area. And when that is the case, you are just as fragile as the man who has no muscles and the same amount of insecurities. This is a part of traditional masculinity that I feel needs to be updated. I feel like
100%.
a lot of young guys stop themselves from pursuing something that they would enjoy, that would be a benefit to their lives, such as being a singer, a writer, or something typically associated as a more feminine career, because they think society would value them less and it would.
That's not true. I mean, I agree with him that there are people who think that, but your occupation does not determine if you're masculine or not. Dude, being a nurse, by the way, I would much rather have more male nurses than female nurses, if I'm honest. Especially like in actual emergency cases, right? And not because of like anything that is like, Andrew Tate like, but just because if shit goes down, I fall, a man is more likely to pick me up than a woman. A man, like, you will need less men to pick up a heavy person than you would need then you would need women. If I have a psychotic breakdown, a man is more likely to be able to deal with me than a woman. Shit like that, right? Just for the physical aspect. So, the whole like men are better under stress and stuff, that's cool, but there are plenty of women who are also good under stress, so whatever. Overall, I would still prefer a man to be a nurse, especially in emergency cases.
Wouldn't be masculine of them to do so. Now, as a man, you'd want to assure that you are at the very least physically competent. If you have no sort of strength or ability to move things and be agile and you're obese, you should want to do something about it, because it's probably contributing to your lack of energy and happiness.
100%,
I agree. You shouldn't have to strive for this very unrealistic ideal that's often portrayed in the media or online in order to feel masculine.
Yeah, there is too much, obviously, and all these portrayals are cool for social media, but first of all, a lot of them are not realistic unless like super good genetics and a lot of fucking roids. But for the most part, you just want to feel good. You don't have to even be like, you don't need a six-pack. You just need to feel good with what you have, right?
Whether you're a soccer player, engineer, programmer, skater, writer, singer, or the like, you are no less of a man than the guy with six-pack abs from the Reject Modernity videos. And luckily, a few of these videos actually portray men in other roles other than being super dominant, muscular, and masculine sometimes.
Yeah, they portray them in... You can portray men in all roles because men have been the best in every role. I'm sorry. Throughout history, and again, you can say, and I would agree, throughout history, women didn't have rights, so they couldn't compete, We'll see how that ends, how many more generations you would need until women are actually on top because they are on top. But for now, from the information we have, even as biased as it is, men have always been on top. You know, do you have billionaire women? Yeah, sure. How many men do you have versus how many women? How many of these female billionaires are self-made? You know, how many Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musks do you have on the female side? Right? That's what I mean.
Times. Oh, but Cole, why do you lift weights then? Well, it's engraved into who I am at this point. I love the way it makes me feel, I like the challenge that comes with getting stronger, and I want to be able to carry all my groceries from my car in one trip. Oh, also not to mention the fact that a lot of these reject modernity, embrace masculinity videos are blatantly homophobic and LGBTQ phobic, which is something I really don't with. Putting down people like that in that way
I
makes
don't
you
remember
much
any
less
of
of a man than more.
If he says so, I haven't seen any that are like that, but this is what it is.
Worth it. Now, let's talk about the even more controversial aspect of strength in men, mental strength. This is one of the most widely misunderstood parts of what it means to be masculine. I remember when I was a teenager and I was out to dinner with my parents and my sister, and we were talking about how my sister was working through some sort of relationship issue. My mom was suggesting seeking some sort of help, and I was agreeing, and we ended up talking about how great it is that there are so many resources now for those struggling with their mental health. As a response, my dad said something along the lines of, "We used to just tell people to get over it, and it worked too." This, I feel, encapsulates a part of traditional masculinity that has caused decades of generational trauma in men. When men are taught...
So, okay. I know where this is going. Okay, so... a lot of times I would say it's not even the get over it. It's more like go deal with it. Right? I understand. I do. That, yeah, there's some shit that's like sometimes you need to shrink, whatever, kind of let it out. It wasn't even so much as get over it. Usually you would just go to the woods and scream your lungs out, and while thinking about all of this frustration and letting it out. That was therapeutic. I think it still is, right? Or you can yell into your pillow, whatever. But yeah, it wasn't as clean cut as get over it. The reason he says get over it is because I'm assuming your sister was a teenager and this was like some completely who care moments. Like, oh, this guy, he cheated on me. Get over it. But obviously, some other stuff that are like a lot more fucking, problematic. Like, a man forced himself on a woman, for example. Those ones, yeah, you might need therapy. Like any PTSD kind of stuff, yeah, you might need help, right? That's why you have mental health for like cops and like for soldiers who've been in the field. After a shooting, stuff like that. Yeah, because you might have PTSD, right? That is a real case. But if you're a teenager, I would say 99.9% of cases, get over it.
Taught that being mentally strong means being able to bottle up your emotions and get rid of them somehow.
No, get over it does not mean bottle up your emotions and get rid of it. Means, because that means you're not over it. Means it's still there. Get over it means this is not helping me at all and I'm over it. It's like, this doesn't bother me anymore. I learned my lesson. I'm over it. That's what get over it means. Not fucking whatever he's describing there.
They are more likely to be depressed, hopeless, commit violent crimes, and be verbally and physically abusive. The problem is, this aspect is really confusing. We're told that society will take advantage of and disdain men for being emotional, and we're also taught that women don't want an emotional man. So if we're not supposed to show our emotions, but the very fact that...
Okay, it's not... I mean, I understand. I think he's purposefully misrepresenting it because that's kind of how the videos portray it. But it's not don't show your emotions, right? If you're happy, be happy. It's don't show your fucking negative emotions all the time. Women might find a man who cries sometimes because, like, actually, like, okay, his mom died and he's crying about it. I think that's kind of sexy, right? In a very fucked up way, but like, you know what I mean, right? It's like, oh, he's showing me his emotions. But a man who cries over everything and like gets depressed over everything shows weakness in the man. Means he doesn't know how to deal with shit. Yeah, that's the difference. It's not don't show emotions. It's Learn to deal with your emotions. Show maturity. Show that you're in control. Don't let other shit dictate your mood. That's what it means not to show your emotions or get over it and all that stuff. That's what masculinity means. Means you are in control of your shit. Nothing can phase you. And if it does, that's fine. Once in a while, yeah, that's a new lesson. But not every fucking day, every fucking week, man. Like, that's bullshit. No, don't show that side of you to a woman. That's what your friends are for. And they'll tell you stop acting like a bitch. Deal with it already. Get over it. Even your friends won't want to hang out with you if you're emotionally unstable, because that is not a masculine trait. And yeah, I will say it. Being emotionally unstable is not a masculine trait. Learn to deal with your emotions. Right? Means you're still a boy. And also, by the way, a girl is still a girl if she also doesn't know how to deal with her emotions. Emotions are there as, I would say, guidelines. It's something you go through in life and you learn to deal with a bunch of shit, and your emotions will just help you kind of navigate that shit. But if you're like overly emotional about everything, forget it not being masculine. You're not even a grown-up at that point. You're still a fucking child.
That we don't show our emotions makes us more out of touch with ourselves and therefore leads us to do negative things. What is a man to do? The answer is not as clear as I'd like it to be. The paradoxical thing that I've realized is that in order to establish more emotional control and maturity, and therefore be less emotional, you must find a way to feel and express your emotions somehow. Now,
no, I mean, yeah, but you have to experience these emotions and learn to deal with them. Go through shit. Go do stuff. Participate in things. Learn to deal with your emotions. I'm sorry. You're not going to learn how to deal with depression unless you've been sad. You're not going to learn how to deal with the fear of rejection unless you go and approach women. You know? Yeah. Go do shit and then you learn how to deal with it.
Knowing when
Also,
to do this is
berserk. Hell yeah. Respect.
Really the most important part. There are some situations in which people will take advantage of you if you're being super emotional. For example, if you're super depressed and repeatedly crying about how you hate your life in front of your girlfriend or some girl that you're interested in,
she'll leave you.
That woman has not yet established a strong bond with you, or her emotional intelligence and
even if she's had a strong bond with you, the bond will break very fast.
Maturity is quite low, then yes, she's probably gonna lose attraction for you. But if you're with, let's say, one or both of your parents who you know won't judge you, and you just need to let it out and get everything off your chest,
that's different.
then you should absolutely do it. Because nothing gets resolved or healed by suppressing it, and that's what a lot of us men were taught to do in order to cope with our more emotional side.
I agree to an extent. I wouldn't say taught, but encouraged to do, to just like bottle it in. I don't know, man. I never bottled in my emotions because I always like, I'm very like, if I'm angry, you know I'm angry. If I'm sad, you know I'm sad, kind of thing. Like, I don't like hide my emotions. I wouldn't say I wear them on my sleeve, though sometimes in some cases, yeah. But I don't think I was educated to not show emotions. Even in these movies with like Arnold and all that stuff, aside from Terminator because it's a fucking robot, even all these movies, bro, like take Commando for example, bro. This guy's literally fighting the world to save his daughter. You're telling me he's not showing emotions? He's just, you know, instead of being depressed that his daughter was fucking taken and whatever, he goes and he deals with the problem, right? That's what men do. It's not even bottling his emotions, but it's like he doesn't have time to worry about her, doesn't have time to feel sad that she was taken. He has to take action to save her. That's different. I don't know, man. Like, I agree, but I also like, I feel like it's very misrepresented. It's too broad of an explanation.
From a young age. Again, I think this is where traditional masculinity falls short. It's very disappointing to me to still see so many teenagers and adults making fun of men for showing their emotions.
Depends. And also, like, how much emotions are we talking about? If this is in reference to like how people were laughing at Jordan Peterson for crying on the Piers Morgan thing, look, I would say a lot of masculine men would not be like Jordan Peterson, but Jordan Peterson already said that he's not as he's more of the feminine side than he is on the when it comes to certain things. He already said it, right? He never said that him crying was like a masculine trait. He is more on the feminine side. He is more agreeable than most men. He's like his personality is skewed a bit towards the feminine, and that's fine. We're all a mix of both. We all have feminine traits and masculine traits, right? So, well, then how do you decide? Because majority of men would have more masculine traits and majority of women would have more feminine traits, and that's how it is, right?
Part of it definitely comes from.
I don't know anyone who's like shamed people for showing their emotions, or like laughed at people for showing their emotions, unless they're like close friends and making a joke of it, kind of like make light of the situation. But it's like, if you're showing actual emotions of stuff that matter, no one really shamed you. If you're like showing emotions of like, bro, she just rejected me, I don't. It's like, bro, you just met her, get over it. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, if you show those emotions, yeah, I would laugh at you. Are you fucking kidding me? This is a non-issue, right? If you show your emotions about something that matters, like, man, my mom just died, but I can't, bro. Then I'll be like, yo, man, yeah, I feel bad for you, man. It sucks, fuck, man. You know, let's hit the gym. Let's start working on shit, right? Like, let's get our mind on things. Let's move on as soon as possible. You don't want to be in this mindset. It's dangerous, right? But I wouldn't laugh at somebody who actually shows emotion out of actual fucking mental damage, right? It's like a mental attack. Right? It's like an actual something that is actually said. But it's like a lot of times, bro, people are angry and sad over like non-issues. I can't believe they are still not have like 50-50 in the workforce between men and women. Bro, how does this even matter to you? Like, shut the fuck up. Just move on with your life, you know? Focus on you.
It's about what it means to be a man and what's acceptable as a man that's been passed down for generations.
Beliefs. Always be stoic. Not exactly. Always have purpose. I would say that. Be on your purpose. Not so much stoic. And because you're on your purpose, you don't have a lot of time, or you don't have a lot of like mental capacity to pay attention to other shit that is not important. So you might seem stoic to other people. Always be strong means don't let others deter you from your course or from your purpose. I think that's fine. And suck it up, I don't really agree. It's more like, it's not even the suck it up. Unless, okay, so suck it up means like, oh, this is hard. Good, suck it up, keep going, buttercup, you know? That I'm fine with, but suck it up is in like, oh, this is hard, I can't. That's not suck it up. That's like, yeah, you knew this was gonna be hard, stay strong, and stay on your purpose. I don't know about the suck it up part. I understand what he's saying. There is this all belief, but when you break it down, suck it up doesn't mean anything really.
In society, but part of it is also due to most people still being controlled by their more primitive brain areas, which is something I'm gonna bring up repeatedly throughout this video. When humans were fighting for their survival every day, they knew that if they stuck to the people who could be fearless and stoic in the face of danger, they'd have a better chance of surviving. And so people naturally gravitated towards and were attracted to the people that looked like they had their together at all times. Many of us are still functioning on
well, who else are you're not gonna follow the guy who's fucking like losing his shit over everything, obviously.
Same primitive level, which is very advantageous for survival, but is lacking in empathy and self-discovery. We need to start to get to the point as a society to break past these more primitive level brain areas, allow men—
I don't agree. Where is it?
Point as a society to break past these empathy and—
I don't agree. I know that back then it was for survival, but now it can be for anything else. You want to be successful in your job? You want to be, you know, get the right woman for you? You want to be, you know, again, that's pretty much all there is really, like successful in money and all that stuff. These are all the traits here that the primitive leader had: the assertiveness, the confidence, the, you know, competence, all that stuff, like that people were drawn to in order to lead them because it was safer, are still the traits in a man that you want. First of all, probably as a woman, but I don't want to go into that. But still, traits that you want as a man to navigate through life, regardless. Would you rather lose your shit every time something happens? The empathy and self-discovery, this is your teenage adolescent years, right? People here are also empathetic, but they're gonna be able to do math a bit better of like what's worth being empathetic about or not. A good leader cares about his men, cares about his team. He is empathetic towards his team, right? But if the team is being, like, if a team member is being pretty much purposefully bringing the team down, he will need to know when too much is too much and let go of that team member. Listen, like, you don't belong in this team. Not because of survival, because you are the sum of the 5 people closest to you, right? It's like you don't want to be next to somebody who's not on your same mindset. Right? You're not next to somebody who wants to succeed. These are all traits that go into this field, which is right now it's survival because it's the primitive. But for the regular, like for like a normal contemporary dude, this is still, all these facets matter. The self-discovery, bro, this is adolescence up until like maybe like late 20s, right? Though then again, I'm 35 and I'm still in the self-discovery train, but whatever. Yeah, the self-discovery thing is, I mean, yeah, that's your growing up phase. Unless you finish your self-discovery, you're still not a man, really, right? Just like being physically a man, being mentally a man are very different things, you know? And I would say the more pain you went through in life, the less empathetic you would be, but the more self-discovery you would go through. And then you would get to this part a lot faster.
And self-discovery in areas allow men to speak up and get the help they need from other men or anyone else without being so heavily judged. Because
but then again, you're saying that men need their help and all that stuff, that they need to get, if they need to get the help, they will. They're turning to YouTube because a lot of men, especially young men, don't have the money to go to a fucking shrink. They don't even want to ask because they don't even know if they have a problem that can be fixed by YouTube. And especially in this age where we're told that's like, well, if you have a problem, just Google it. Yeah, don't be surprised that people are YouTubing their problems and Googling their problems, right? To get like a pseudo correct answer, right? It's like a pseudo whatever. Yeah, don't be surprised. So I like turn off the internet. What can I tell you? Like, if you like, you know, I don't know what to tell you.
When we allow this to happen, it creates what I believe to be a truly good man. Emotionlessness is not the masculinity we should.
No, that's psychopathy, okay? That's sociopathy and psychopathy. No man is emotionless. He's full of emotion for the stuff he cares about, and he doesn't care about stuff that have nothing to do with him. That's what a man is. If you have nothing to do with something, you don't care about it. If it's not in your way, it's not helping you, it's literally something that has nothing to do with your fucking life, you're technically emotionless to it. But the things in your life, of course you have emotions for. You want to protect them, you want to whatever, you like aggressively sometimes. You are sad when they're gone and all that stuff. Are you gonna dwell on this emotion? No, because if you think about it, being sad about something doesn't achieve anything, right? We're very logical creatures. We are very straightforward. So if something hurt your emotion, like the bitch cheated on you, guess what? You ain't got time to think about this. You understand that she cheated on you, learn your lesson, move on. You ain't got time for this. Go to the gym, find a new hoe, right? That will cheat on you again. Then maybe you'll find why they're all cheating on you, and maybe it's you, and then, you know, fix it. Maybe it's them. I don't know.
Be aspiring towards. Emotional maturity is. And that only comes when we can find and create more safe spaces for men to talk about these massive expectations that are put on them to either be.
No, I do not agree. Emotional maturity comes from, it's not talking about this. Can it come from talking about these things? Yes. However, if you let's treat this like a muscle, because most of your body works in the same sense. When you exercise something, you become better at it, right? When you exercise your bicep becomes better. If you exercise about talking about your emotions, you might not actually be more emotionally mature, because then you start oversharing and over talking, and then you feel more and more emotions because you don't have them under control, because you keep expressing them too much. You don't learn how to stop doing it. All you're teaching your body is how to keep doing it. It's same as like, if you ever, okay, here's a great exercise for you, like in this for working out. Do 2 weeks of working out, and all of your sets get to failure, and you will see that your workouts become way worse because you feel like you're failing every set, but actually you are not. Your body just becomes lazier, and then you're not pushing through the failure. So many times you literally become mentally weaker to surpass the set that you're thinking you're failing on. It's like, I can't, it's too hard, and you stop. No, you fucking go. Okay? Because that's not even real failure. And you can't even teach yourself to go to real failure, really, because, like, good luck, man. Like, you're not mentally powerful enough to do every fucking workout for 2 weeks to go to real failure. You will just train your mind to think that you are at failure. Same with like this bullshit of like talking about your emotions. Where are you gonna stop? Every little emotion you're gonna have, it's like, oh, you walk up to a girl and she's like, no, sorry, you're ugly. I gotta share it with the world. I am so sad right now. I will go home and I will cry into my bed. No, oversharing your emotions is also bad, okay? Obviously, there's a balance. And again, you want to share your emotion? That's cool. Important ones, yeah. Don't just fucking share every little thing. It's like, oh, and then I went to work and I'm all so sad. Change your fucking life. Do something. Take action. Don't talk to me about how your life is hard. Everyone's life is hard, unless you fucking have some trauma. You don't like something, don't like waking up in the morning, find to do something that you love. Go exercise at, start work at 6 a.m., go exercise at 4 a.m. for an hour. Go home, shower, go to work. See if you feel better. Maybe it's the work. Find a new employment. Take fucking action. Going to work super sad, waking up in the morning being like, oh man, I don't want to work, oh, my work sucks, and then going after work and crying about your work is not going to solve your fucking problems. It's not going to do anything for your mental health. Like, you're not going to feel better the next day because you're still doing the same thing that caused it in the first place. Taking action is way more important than talking about your stupid ass emotions.
Be happy or emotionless, make tons of money, have a muscular physique, and be able to dominate everything and everyone in order to be a man. Luckily, like I talked about in that story earlier, things like therapy are becoming more widely available and accessible. And if you are struggling,
too widely available and too widely accessible, in my opinion, to the point where like every other person is a fucking therapist at this point. Right? I was training a therapist. Holy fuck. First of all, vast majority of our clients are females. So that's that. But a lot of them went through like actual some real shit. So I'm not going to say like it's bad. But like even the men that she had, it's like, it's completely different. I don't really know where I'm going with this. But like all I'm saying is there's a lot of mental health professionals out there. In my opinion, way too much. And the thing is, there are so many mental health professionals out there. And she was still so fully booked, she couldn't take on new people. Like for like a few months, she had no spots for new people. She barely had time to work out and have a proper diet because she was in the office the whole day. I literally trained her in her office after work at 8 p.m. and she starts her day at 7 a.m. Right? It's fucked. That, in my opinion, shows the weakness of people. Not so much that there's so many people who need help. We've been fine for a very long time. It's not like, oh well, society is just so much harder these days. Is it harder in some aspects? Yeah, sure. In the Western world though, really, is it that much harder in fucking Canada and US? Is it that much harder that everyone needs a fucking mental health professional? Give me a fucking break.
With expressing your emotions and feeling heard right now, then I highly suggest BetterHelp. If you've been on my channel for a while, you've probably heard me talk about BetterHelp. They will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. BetterHelp has helped over 2 million people live happier, healthier lives, and they have over 20,000 therapists on their platform and are adding more to meet demand. As of right now, it's still
the one thing I can say about stuff like this, it might be a shortcut to fix your problems. But that's about it. And shortcuts are never really good long term. Right? Some help can be just as simple as like we need to change your daily routine. Go to sleep at the same and a lot of times like shit that really solves your problems is like healthier diet, go to sleep at the same time every day, wake up at the same time, and physical exercise solves, I would say, vast majority of most mental issues for people. You don't even need a professional to tell you this, because professionals have been saying this for years. Okay? Good nutrition, get your hormones in check. Good sleep, to get your hormones in check. Good exercise, to get your hormones in check. You know? Like, it's pretty much it. Right? Obviously, again, I'm not talking about like PTSD and all that shit. But like, yeah, most stuff that you're going through the day-to-day, the pressures of regular life, yeah, like stop crying about it, take action.
Very difficult for
and
men.
All it is, something like BetterHelp is just a shortcut, or more like somebody who tells you this is what you need to do.
To find that safe space, especially if they don't have parents who are very understanding of their emotions. So that's why I think therapy is so important. And I know that when I went to therapy a couple times at the start of this year in 2022, just having someone to talk to about what I was going through, even if they didn't provide me like really good solutions, helped me immensely. On BetterHelp,
the funniest thing is I used to work at a mall selling you shit you don't need, right? Like those stall guys are like, hey, here's a hair straightener, right? The funniest thing is in that job, when you're super bored and your day's not going well, you literally stop random people and you talk to them about your day, and you make strangers into your personal therapist, because it doesn't even matter the other person thinks or what they say. You just want to like lash out in a sense, right? To just like put it all out there, kind of like once you say it, it's out there kind of thing. And it was funny because it always made me feel better. I use random people as fucking therapists.
you can start communicating within 48 hours, and the service is available for clients worldwide.
I had a rough day today. I noticed myself feeling really anxious at work and stepped outside for a moment to practice some of the skills you taught me. Would you like to share a bit more about what happened, and how did practicing those skills work out for you, Jesus Christ? Well, the one I tried was the grounding exercise you taught me, where I tune into my 5 senses. At first, it was really hard to focus on it because I was so worked up because of what happened in the meeting earlier. I don't really want to get into it right now, but maybe I can tell you at our next live session. But I took some deep breaths, like how, yeah, no shit, breathing? Yeah, breathing is actually really fucking good for you.
You can log into your account at any time and send a message to your therapist.
I'm not gonna say this is like a scam, but like literally, this is not rocket science advice. I know people are like so lost at like whatever, but it's like, I do not understand how there's so many more people with anxiety, with asthma, with like a lot of these like breathing difficulties, like now more so than there was before. I don't know the statistics, but I believe there is. I believe there was. I don't remember the exact statistic, but it's like, yeah, I think the problem is how we raise our children, not so much that you need the help. You need fucking like I think we are, and again, this goes to the same problem. I think we are too emotionally open, and that fucks up our kids. Not less emotionally open. I think we're already too emotionally open to the point where it's fucking us up. That's what I think.
Get timely and thoughtful responses, plus you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions so you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as with traditional therapy. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches for you, so it's free and easy to change your therapist at every time if you find the therapist they match you with is not working for you. And it's more affordable than traditional offline therapy, and financial aid is available. So if you're interested in finally getting the help you need and opening up and expressing your emotions to someone, you can visit visit betterhelp.com/Cole. That is betterhelp.com/Cole. And you can join the over 2 million members who are helping to improve the relationships with themselves and others. And there's a special offer for listeners of my channel. You can get 10% off your first month by going to betterhelp.com/Cole. And thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. So in short, being mentally strong isn't about showing no emotions or only showing the emotions of dominance.
Of course not. It's just fucking... If you want to be a Sasuke, you're not a grown-up man, okay?
And aggressiveness. It's about not letting your emotions be bottled up so that they don't come out in the many different forms of abuse, like bullying, self-harm, and domestic violence. And
everything bottled up will eventually burst out. So yeah, you don't want to bottle up your emotions because that's how you get fucked in the head. Okay? No, you want to be able to control your emotions, to deal with them, and if needed, let it out. Also, another way to let out your emotions is physical exercise. Frustration, depression, and like, what do you call it? Anxiety and all that stuff. You let out those emotions when you exercise without even knowing. You will notice how your mind gets less, like, you start thinking less and less about those things that are bothering you when you exercise. Specifically cardio, but weight training too.
In tune to your emotional needs that are closely
because cardio makes you breathe in a rhythm.
With the more feminine aspects of nature, like the need to be nurtured, cared for, and understood. Again, I've found a very paradoxical thing to happen when you start to do this. When you learn to harness the more feminine aspects of your human nature, your ability to battle adversity and tough times actually gets stronger, which is counterintuitive to what we've been taught. Like, dude, it's okay to want a hug. It's okay to not be okay. Find a healthy way to open up.
It is okay not to not be okay. Of course, it's okay to have a hug. But wait, let me hear this again because that's...
aspects of nature, like the need to be nurtured, cared for, and understood.
Understood, I can understand. Cared for... Look. The way I see cared for, and again, this is not like the most of it, but like, it's kind of like having a safe space, which is fine. It's kind of like going with your buddies to a club. And then it's like, it's easier to approach girls when you have a safe place to return to, which is your buddies, right? Like your friends. While as going alone into a club is a lot harder to pick up chicks because you don't have a safe spot. You don't have a place to return to in case you get rejected and kind of like recharge your batteries, right? By the way, going alone to nightclubs, pretty fucking fun. Really fucking hard on the first like 3 or so times that I went. Man, that was fucking horrible. But going alone made me way better at it than going with friends. Going with friends, having the safety net, it was like you don't feel authentic. You feel like you're fake because you're not really putting yourself in danger because there is no danger, right? So putting yourself a bit in danger, right? Even though there's no danger in a club, like what's the girl gonna do? Pepper spray for saying hello, right? Yeah. Understood. I don't think understood is a feminine or a masculine thing. That's just like everyone wants to be understood. Imagine talking and like no one understands what you're saying. The other one is
aspects of nature, like the need to be
the nurtured. I don't know about this one. I really don't know about this one, but sure.
Happen when you start to do this. When you learn to harness the more feminine aspects of your human nature, your ability to battle adversity and tough times actually gets stronger, which is counterintuitive to what we've been taught. Like, dude,
sure.
It's okay to want a hug. It's okay to not be okay. Find a healthy way to open up about what you're going through.
It is okay to not be okay. The hug thing is like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know any guys like, man, I just need a fucking hug right now.
Promise you, your ability to remain more masculine in the good ways will significantly improve. Alright, we've tackled the biggest core trait, now let's move on to assertiveness. If you want to be masculine, you have to assert yourself in this world. You want to be able to say, this is what I want, and this is how I'm going to get it. And you never want to be dishonest to yourself and others about what it is you want and need. But the way in which much of traditional masculinity approaches how to be more assertive isn't even really assertiveness, it's much more attuned to being passive-aggressive or actively aggressive. You see,
Yes.
on the two sides of the spectrum, we have assertiveness and passiveness. Someone who is passive is a massive people pleaser. They always put other people's needs in front of theirs.
Yeah.
They're emotionally dishonest in an effort to not offend anyone. They are indirect with their words, and they overly apologize. This is the very
Canadian.
opposite of what
Yeah.
someone who is confident and emotionally mature, aka a man, does. Next to that is passive aggressiveness. When you are passive aggressive, you are still being emotionally dishonest and indirect with your actions and words, but instead you are subtly making it clear that your rights and needs prevail over others. A good example of this is someone who gaslights you for not doing what they want, and they make you question whether you're doing the right thing or if you're actually a good person.
Okay.
If they say things like, "Don't you think you're overreacting a little?" or "It wasn't even a big deal, you're just being emotional," they're being passive aggressive.
No, that's not passive aggressive in my opinion. That's quite an attack, but yeah.
This is not really something that most people would regard as traditionally masculine, but it gets closer to the line of traditional masculinity in that it puts your needs and wants above everyone else's. Then there's the traditional masculine.
No, not really. The examples you gave are more like, I don't want to deal with this. Can you just fucking chill?
Aggression. This is when you are direct and honest, even if it's inappropriate and severely hurts others. You attack and blame others, and you do whatever it is you want to do and get whatever you want to get at the expense of others. This
Okay, so
whatever it is you want to do and get whatever you want to get at the expense of others.
inappropriately direct and honest. Aggressive is just direct and honest. Inappropriately is hyper aggressive, first of all. Attack and blame others, hyper aggressive. Okay. Do what you want and get what you want at the expense of others. It depends if they're in your way or not. If you're just literally, like out of nowhere for some reason blaming somebody for, like, you're a server, you want to be a bartender, you can do the job, there's already a bartender, you're gonna go and you blame that, you're gonna say that this bartender is stealing whatever, you're gonna be, and then you take his job. That would be get what you want at the expense of others. But get what you want at the expense of others in terms of like, listen, I want this job and he wants this job, we're both interviewing. Listen, I'm getting this fucking job one way or another, right? It's like, you are not getting this job. That's not always a bad thing. Can be a bit immoral, as long as it's not illegal, everything goes. It's a war to get the job. And I think a lot of people would appreciate that you're the person who is doing that things for the job will also be a better employee, because they're willing to go to bigger lengths to get the job. That's how much they want it. Obviously, within limits. So I don't know, the way he explains aggressive, inappropriately is hyper aggressive. Direct and honest is aggressive, and it's not a bad thing.
Others. This type of masculine energy comes out when you haven't developed your emotional maturity.
No, this type of energy comes out, like what you're showing now is a person who bottled up all of his fucking emotions and then he blew up.
And you were taught at a young age to dominate over everyone and always put yourself first, which is what a lot of young guys with
that
an
does look
father
scary,
figure
by the
are
way.
taught. Again, this is coming from our more primitive brain areas that see
He actually wrote
everything as a
LOL
battle
this
for
face.
survival. But the repeating problem with the primitive brain areas is that although they are incredibly useful, they rarely take into account other people's rights and needs and only optimize for the ego.
Again, useful for survival will also mean that you are cooperating with others. The only ones you're not cooperating with are either people who have nothing to do with you, or people who are not trustworthy or not on the same path as you. It's not so much about taking into account, it's not so much about trampling over others, but it's not, you wouldn't avoid trampling over the others if the need came to, but it's not your go-to. That makes sense. Listen, in the terms of okay, so let's use in the terms of survival, okay? You are a man, you just got laid off from your work, you have a family, 2 kids, and you are running out of money to the point where next month, if you don't pay rent, your guys are getting kicked out. Okay? You go to a job interview. This is the job. You get this, you're good. There's another person who's going for this interview. Guess what? That guy, if he gets the job, you're not getting it. So, is it a con that I don't take his rights and needs into account if I have a fucking massive goal here that I need to get to because my kids' future and my wife's, security depends on it? I would say yeah. So again, does it apply to today? Yeah, not in the same fucking sense of survival because they'll technically probably still be alive even if you don't get the job. But in every other aspect, yeah, still fucking applies. That's why I don't like this. This is a very feminine view of masculinity.
Survival. This is not how masculinity should be. True healthy assertiveness takes into account the rights and needs of everyone involved.
Everyone that is on your team. And the only thing that is anyone who's not on your team and not against you, just bystanders, you respect them. You don't trample over them, you don't use them. That's not masculine, that's manipulative. That's women. You just care about the people on your team. Everyone else don't exist in your head. They don't matter. And not because they're bad people, but because they are not part of your path to the success that you envision for yourself. That's it. A man that cares about too many people will not be able to care about himself. He will not be fulfilled as a man.
The goal is not to ignore and disrespect others, as some teachers of traditional masculinity suggest, but to allow them to communicate and for you to be empathetic of their beliefs and needs while sticking to your own beliefs and needs. You want to be direct and honest, not manipulative and hostile.
Again, that's why I meant manipulative and hostile is hyperaggression. It's not aggression. Direct and honest, yes. Inappropriately, no.
Be flexible but firm with your decisions.
Yes.
So assertiveness is an excellent trait for any man to develop, so long as it isn't done in an overly aggressive, unempathetic way. And by virtue of being considerate and empathetic,
don't manipulate others.
No longer becomes the main masculine goal. Now, if we're talking about what women like in bed and whether you should be dominant in that realm of life, that's a different story and varies from woman to woman.
Yes.
Lastly, we have the final core trait of masculinity: leadership. More often than not, men have this innate desire to want to help to build upon something and improve. We want to feel like
all good, Luxembourg. I've been on this video for an hour now.
we're purposefully contributing and leading something, and if it's not anything outside of us, then at the very least, leading ourselves. It's why the vast majority of self-improvement channels are male-dominated, and I think it explains why around 90% of the people who watch my videos are men. But I have to wonder, how much of men's strong desire to want to be better, improve, and lead comes from a genuine innate desire, and how much of it is societal pressure telling us that that's what makes us a man?
I would say most men don't want to lead or anything like that. They just want to take charge of what they can. I wouldn't say they want to lead. Not all of them want to have a fucking company. Like, if they wanted it, they wouldn't even have time to watch this, okay? So what did you think about the montage? It was cool. It was good. Yeah, where was I? Yeah, I don't think a lot of men want to just straight up just be leaders. They want to be leaders in small aspects of their life, and sometimes amongst, you can't have 5 leaders in a group of friends, sometimes another person gets the lead. It's this leadership thing is a weird one because it's it depends on the situation.
Man, the problem with
sometimes you're tired and you want somebody you trust to lead the way. You're like, fuck it, man, today we'll do what you want.
Is it's just not possible for every single person in the world to be a leader. Think about something like an army, corporation, or sports team. Would these things run effectively if every single male on it was trying to lead and be seen as a leader? No, it wouldn't. Of course, men tend to have more qualities associated with being a good leader, like being assertive, protective, and providing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that every single man is going to find themselves in a leadership role. This idea that we're all in a competition with one another to dominate one another, while as true as it might be in some areas of life, can do a lot of harm if a man is basing his entire worth on whether he's in a leadership role or not. But
you never take it in a vacuum, man. Depends on the situation. if you want to be a leader so bad, like, you're not going to be a leader in every fucking aspect of your life. And if you will, other men won't. And that's it.
Much of traditional masculinity assumes that a truly worthy masculine
In Europe, it's 10 p.m. Gotta go now. Take care and see ya. Yo, see ya next time, man. Have a good night.
man is leading an entire tribe of individuals, is providing for an entire family, or is a big-time
Peace out.
CEO or entrepreneur. Until you achieve one or more of these things, then you cannot be considered a man. Again, this is an outdated concept. You should want to improve yourself. You should.
Okay, look. This idea of a leader has to be the CEO of the company. Okay, listen, okay? Being a leader is a mental state. It's not a position, okay? It's just a mental state, right? That's all it is. This whole idea of the leader being the fucking top. One second, let's watch it again.
Again, this is an outdated concept. You should want to improve yourself. You should want to stop distracting yourself with an abundance of comfort and pleasure and do challenging things that aren't instantly gratifying.
Sure.
But you don't need to dominate and be above everyone and everything around.
No one thinks that that's what leadership is. No one considers this as even an option. Do you know how mentally exhausting this would be to be a leader in every fucking aspect of your life? How do you even go into a completely new fucking field where you know nothing about the field and expect to be a leader there? This is such an unrealistic take. What? Like, I don't even know what this guy's talking about when he talks about leadership. I don't think he knows what he talks about when he talks about leadership. This is absurd. No one thinks that they're a leader in every fucking aspect, bro. When I go to my friend's house, it's his house. It's his rules. I'm not gonna be there dictating, dominating the fucking house. No. If I go to a restaurant, there's a chef. He dictates how the food gets prepared. I can make a request, but I'm not leading him. This, like, what is this idea even?
Around you. So, what am I trying to get at with all this? The solution
have no
to
idea
this
at this
generation's
point.
current problems isn't to revert back to past tradition. It's to focus on simply being a good person who can stop the cycle of
It's like
generational trauma passed on to us from previous generations by not being so tied down by a singular masculine ideal. It blows my mind how many people think that going back to
it like fucking blew my mind. No, they're not going back to old beliefs. They're adjusting the old beliefs to the present problems.
past traditions can help us solve present day problems.
Because they
Forcing people
can.
to marry again, or be a very particular type of man or woman, or have a nuclear family, these things aren't going to magically make everything better. Traditional values and
No, they won't. Just forcing people into a nuclear family, it won't. If your value is to be in a nuclear family, then it will. Obviously, you need to change the fucking value. You can't just like live in a fucking a delusion that because you're doing something, everything will now be better. Of course not.
forcing people to live a very certain life and be a certain person in order to have value.
But it also doesn't mean that we should be admiring or saying good job to girls who are sleeping with hundreds of men.
What led the world, and specifically men, to start feeling like they know.
And by the way, men sleeping with hundreds of women is also not a good thing. Okay, like doesn't matter which side.
To exist.
But we're not like out there being like, oh, this guy's fucking 100 women. Is he good for like, yay, go for him? No, we're only doing it for women when they do it.
First place
And
no,
cheat
what we need
and all that
is to
shit.
transcend the idea of traditional masculinity entirely. Whether you're a man or a woman, we all need to stop being so controlled by our primal desires and harness them for good instead of let them run rampant and abuse, mistreat.
How did we go to primal desires for what? Dude, where the guy went to like super extreme survival. Yeah, okay, sure, it's a primal desire, whatever. Yeah, saying this, by the way, we should all, resist our primal desires and don't let them control us. Yes, that means stop fucking around. But oh no, but if you stop fucking around, then you're becoming a traditional man. Or a traditional woman. Wait, so... But if I resist my primal desire, I stop fucking around. I become a traditional person. Bro,
and
come
look
on,
down
man.
upon others. It doesn't mean we start demonizing masculine traits and
But being, like, this whole thing, just be a decent person. This has nothing to do with masculine and feminine then.
feminizing men, because truly healthy masculine traits like providing for others, building things, getting mentally and physically stronger, being honest and assertive are an incredible benefit to society.
They're incredible benefit to you, therefore incredible benefit to society. Yeah. Wow. Shocker. What does this have to do with... This doesn't have anything to do with masculinity. A woman that is also physically active and is in good health and eats well and is in good shape and, you know, is like not getting mental fucked by hundreds of dudes, mental and physical fucked by hundreds of dudes, is also a benefit to society. You know? Also, a girl that gets fucked is probably a benefit to society to some extent, you know? But it's like, who is more of a benefit, I would say.
Means we scrap the idea of the 1% ideal high-value man archetype and instead
I agree
on how
with that.
each person individually can come to adopt and develop these traits in their own.
And again, it's a fucking... Femininity is over here, masculinity is over here. You're somewhere on the spectrum. You're never like here. You're never here. Okay? Almost no one is like fully on the fucking spectrum, like a full-on masculinity. No.
Own way. Men, you are no less of a man if you don't have a wife and kids, aren't muscular, don't have money, or you don't dominate every role that you...
True, you're not less of a man. You are less of a man if you let that get to you. Just because your ambitions are less extravagant doesn't mean your ambitions are not good enough. Anything is good enough, and if you don't have ambitions, that's cool too. But like, you're still a defender of what you have. You still stand your ground on your principles. That's all it is.
You find yourself in. Now, if you believe that's truly who you are and what you want, and you truly believe that that's what will bring you the most fulfillment, then by all means do that. But don't let your anger, dominance, aggression, and arrogance start to get out of control and make you become destructive.
Oh, whoa. We just added arrogance out of nowhere. Arrogance apparently is a masculine trait now.
Be an e-boy and go paint your nails, then go do it. To me, that doesn't make you weak. You can transcend the roles of traditional masculinity and be more of a man than even the most hyper-masculine man you can think of. As long as you're just being a good f***ing person. I know that your path may not be...
Again, being a good person has nothing to do with masculinity or femininity. You can be the most feminine man and not be a good person. You can be the most masculine man and not be a good person. This has nothing to do with anything.
As determined and direct for you as it was in previous generations, and the idea that you can be these different types of men and still be a good man.
No, all of these like red pill and all of these like reject modernity and whatever and adapt or whatever masculinity or all that shit's like. At the end of the day, first of all, those are mostly like fitness videos, straight up. But at the end of the day, all the red pill stuff and all that shit's like, they just give you a direction. They don't tell you, like, if you don't feel like you, like, man, it's hard because if you're a kid, you're dumb, right? Oh, and this video also doesn't help because if you're a kid, you're still dumb. All the red pill is find your own fucking path. Don't let others stop you from what you believe is to be true, unless it's obviously illegal. Okay? Don't let people's opinions deter you from what you believe to be right. Even if you are wrong, you will learn from this mistake. Okay? That's all it is. That's all these red pill and like masculinity videos are. Go your own path, go your own way, do your own thing, and if you fuck up, don't cry about it, fix it. That's all it is. Stop, like, this whole video has been about, like, it was so confusing because his points contradict one another.
It is scary to you. It's confusing and it makes you feel lost and makes you feel like you don't know what to
like
expect
the video.
out of yourself in order to feel
No one knows what to expect. Everyone is fucking lost because you're born in this world. You don't have a fucking guideline. You don't have like a help menu that tells you what you should be doing. No, everyone is out there to figure it out, and all you can do is ask for advice and do the best you can, and eventually you will get there. Whatever it is, whatever you were supposed to do, hopefully you would get there. And if not, then your whole life has been a journey trying to get somewhere. And that's fine too.
Like you have purpose. But like any strong, competent person should do, embrace this freedom to carve out your own path of manhood and focus on being a good, understanding person. And maybe, just maybe, if we do that, we can end the destructive cycle of men wanting to do bad things to their partners and children.
You won't. You won't. Evil exists. I'm sorry, you will not. The people who are beating their wives and beating their children, or the women that abuse their husbands, has nothing to do with masculinity or femininity. It has everything to do with being a good person, a bad person. They definitely have mental issues. Talking about them would probably not solve them. There were plenty of people who talked about their mental issues and still went and committed many, many homicides, okay? That's not... and that's why what's called psychiatrists have been are legally they're legally required to report anyone who they believe will be a threat to themselves or to others. They have to report it. Yeah, because plenty of them. You think this was to begin, like that was a rule to begin with? No, that rule came about because some people were going to the shrink saying that they're better and then going and killing a bunch of people. It's like, oh, I'm so happy I took it off my chest. Well, time to go murder a couple.
Going to violent extremes or wanting to end themselves. I know you probably have a lot of your own thoughts that you want to add or criticize to this.
Yeah, I added enough. Anyways, look, overall, I'd say it's a good edited video. He did get his points across. Just because I don't agree with him, his opinion is fine. But at the end of the day, I feel like this wasn't even about masculinity or femininity. At the end of the day, I guess what he's saying is the end of the day. At the end of the day. So there, I said enough. Masculinity or femininity, it doesn't matter. Just be a decent person. Thanks. It's like, cool. But you can do it in the context of being more masculine, being more feminine. I mean, like, you can still be a decent person. Oh, man. Anyways, yeah. That's the video. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you did not fall asleep, because this has been a very long one, and I'm out. Peace.